So kindly be quiet, okay, during the class. Only when I'm asking questions, you must answer. And currently we have 19 students in this class. Afrin, Anukriti, Ayushi, Devesh, Gaurav, Jyoti, Nikita, Ravi, Sandeep, Shivani Bansal. Then we have Kaushik, Shreya, Shruti, Tariq, Tarun, Tripti, Ujjwal, Vivek and Jafri Alam. Okay. So shall we wait for 2 minutes? So we can wait for 2 minutes and we can start the class. So I just exchanged my class, okay? So instead of 11:30, I'm taking at 9:30, and at 11:30 you will have your basic biochemistry class. And let me check the count attendance. 26. Okay. So anyway, we can go through the revision and we can go to the next topic. So in today's lecture, I will try to finish the muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So by muscular tissue and nervous tissue, we will finish the first unit most probably. So we have two more small topics, which is the cell division and functions of cell. So by that, we can finish unit 1 by this week most probably. Okay. So let us do a quick revision of the previous topics. So can you able to see the PowerPoint, students? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So coming to the point. So this is anatomy and physiology, and the subject code is BMLS 2004. And so in the first unit we have cell organelles, cell structure, and cell functions and cell division, which is included that includes mitosis and meiosis. Then we have tissues. So we have the tissues definition, classification of tissues, and their functions and types of tissues. So we have epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue, and also we have blood, its composition and its functions. So far we discussed about the cell and the cell organelles and their functions. Then we discussed about tissues. Then we discussed about the definition, their classification. Then we discussed in detail about epithelial tissue. Then in the yesterday's class, we even finished the connective tissue. So the next topic which is pending is the muscular tissue and neurous tissue. So first, let us do a quick revision of epithelial tissue and connective tissue. Then we can move forward to the muscular tissue. So yeah, so all these things you already know. We already finished all of these. So coming to the epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue was broadly divided depending upon the shape and the arrangement. So depending upon the shape, the epithelial tissue are of five types of cells. We have squamous epithelial cells, cuboidal epithelial cells, then we have columnar cells, ciliated cells, and transitional cells. So the speciality of transitional cells is that they can change their morphology. They will change their form depending upon the stress or depending upon the needs of the body. Then depending upon the arrangement of these epithelial cells, we have two types of arrangement. So one is simple arrangement and the other one is complex or stratified. So a single layer of epithelial cells can be stated as simple epithelium. If it is multiple layer, then it is called as stratified epithelium. And the names has been given according to the names of the shapes of the cells. So for example, here we have simple squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal, or stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium. Then we have a specialized epithelium which is called pseudostratified epithelium, which looks like a multi-layered cell layer tissue, but in fact it is a monolayer tissue. It is not a stratified epithelium, rather than it is simple epithelium but looks like it is stratified. So that is the only exception, or something which is different from other stratified epithelial tissue. And I have also given examples for each and epithelial tissue, so you need to memorize. For example, your cuboidal cells present in the salivary gland, columnar cells present in the stomach. Then we have stratified cuboidal present in sweat glands, whereas stratified squamous present in esophagus. So similarly, I have given examples for each and every types of epithelial cell and the tissue. So this you just need to go through it, okay? Then we discussed about okay, so in the squamous epithelium, it is further two types. We have keratinized squamous epithelium and non-keratinized squamous epithelium. So keratinized squamous epithelium means it is the epithelium which contains the substance called keratin. I will tell one interesting word for keratin, students. Keratin is like a bioplastic. So it is equivalent to the plastic material. So our nails, our hair, our teeth, our the upper layer of the skin. So all these are like a bioplastic, I can say. So there is no such word like bioplastic, but I'm just telling because keratin act like a bioplastic material. So it's a really a great material, you know. Usually animals such as cows, deers, everything will have that, their legs will have a very strong nail, that bottom part of the leg. It is a very big nail. It is made up of the keratin only. So it will literally make, you know, it will make them, they will act like a shoes for them. Okay, biological shoes. So anyway, keratin is a wonderful substance that is produced by the squamous cells, which is epithelial cells. So keratin is, in fact, is synthesized by a simple epithelial cells. So something really interesting about keratin. So keratin will present in the dead skin cells. So dead cells such as skin, nail, hair, and tooth, the enamel of the tooth. So this is all about the epithelial tissue. Are you listening, me students? Are you following me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so next we discussed about the connective tissue actually. So the next topic will be the connective tissue. So connective tissue means this is the tissue that will literally bind any two substances. So this can be either in a fluid state, it can be in a fibrous state, or like a reticular state, or it can be even in the a simple cells can also be act like a connective tissue. For example, this connective tissue act like a matrix. Matrix means something which can allows to bind other things. So such matrix, we have three matrix substances. So here we have the cells such as adipocytes, white blood cells, fibroblast, mast cells, etc. Then in the matrix substances, we have three types, or fibers, we have three fibers: elastic fibers, collagen fibers, and reticular fibers. Then ground substances, we have two types: glycoproteins and proteoglycans. So depending upon their cells, these are the three types of classification. Then coming to the age, this connective tissue is further divided into two types: embryonic connective tissue and the mature connective tissue. So in case of embryonic connective tissue, we have two types: mesenchymal connective tissue and the mucosal connective tissue. Whereas matured connective tissue, it is broadly divided into three types. We have proper connective tissue, skeletal connective tissue, and the vascular connective tissue. Proper connective tissue means it is the tissue that is present on the outer layers or outer membranes of any organs. So such type of tissue can be stated as a proper connective tissue. 1 second, students. There is noise from children. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Anyway, so coming to the proper connective tissue. So in the proper connective tissue, we have three types: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and the specialized connective tissue. So loose connective tissue means it is not so rigid. So that is why it is called loose connective tissue. So the best examples for loose connective tissue will be the adipocytes. So or fat layer in the visceral, in the stomach. So adipocytes is the best example of loose connective tissue. Then dense connective tissue, we have two types: regular dense connective tissue and irregular dense connective tissue. Regular dense connective tissue is seen in tendons and ligaments, whereas irregular dense connective tissue is seen in peristomium and deep fascia of the muscles. So peristomium is a part of muscle that I will show you in the next slide. Okay, next we will discuss about muscles only. Then we have specialized connective tissue. So this is all about the proper connective tissue. Then coming to the skeletal connective tissue, here we have bones and cartilage. Bones, we have two types: compact bones and spongy bones. Whereas cartilage, so that cartilage means it is like a soft bone. Okay, it will be like a semi solid bone. Okay, that cartilaginous bone is called it is called as cartilaginous bone. So this cartilaginous bone are of three forms in our body. We have hyaline cartilage, fibrous cartilage, and the calcified cartilage. So coming to the hyaline cartilage will present in the synovial joints, whereas the fibrous cartilage is further two types: white fibrous cartilage and the elastic fibrous cartilage. White fibrous cartilage is present in the intervertebral column or intervertebral discs, whereas elastic fiber cartilage present in the ear pinna. So your ear pinna is made up of elastic fibrous cartilage. Then coming to the calcified cartilaginous bone also present, which is temporary cartilaginous bones. So temporarily they will be in cartilage form, but eventually they will become a hard bone. Okay, so that is why they are called temporary cartilaginous bones. Then coming to the vascular connective tissue, we have the most famous example, which is the blood. So blood is the fluid connective tissue. To be precise, blood is a fluid vascular connective tissue, mature fluid vascular connective tissue, and we have one more part of the blood which is lymph. So this is all about the connective tissue. Are you following me? Totally we have 41 students currently in online. So you're following me, right, students?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's it. This is all about the connective tissue. Then I'm going to the next topic. So in today's lecture, we will discuss in detail about the muscular tissue actually. So yes, so coming to the muscular tissue. So what is the major functions of muscles? So you already know what are muscles. So first let us have some general discussion, then we can go in depth about the muscles. So can you tell me the functions of muscles, students? So what is the function of muscles?
To provide support for the body balance.
To mobilize the body parts, to move the body parts, we need muscles. Very good. Any other functions of muscles? Movement?
For locomotion.
For locomotion. Okay, locomotion, movement, same, fine. For locomotion. Then any other functions?
So it's provide elasticity.
It will provide elasticity. Okay, flexibility can be given to the body by the presence of muscles. Okay, so elasticity or flexibility, a type of flexibility we will acquire. So flexibility will be given. Then any muscles can also maintain the posture of the body. We are standing. Why we are standing? Because we are maintaining our posture because of the muscles. Those muscles will move here and there so that we can balance our body. So muscles will maintain the posture of the body. Then also muscles will give the major body weight is came from the muscles actually. Okay, it is the muscular weight. Musculoskeletal system will have more weight. So body weight was given by the muscles, and also muscles will useful in some metabolic pathways. So certain uric acid or some metabolic pathways will happen in the muscles. Okay, so this is all about the functions of muscle. So the major function will be obviously the movement, the locomotion of the body, to maintain the posture of the body, and to that's it. For mobilization of the body we require muscles. Then I need the second topic. The second question is, what are the properties of muscles? What are the properties of muscles? So can anyone guess the properties, students? So there are totally 4 important properties of muscles. So listen carefully. When I say properties, there is a slight difference between the properties and functions of any organ. So when I say properties means there are some facts. You cannot deny those facts, and you can use these facts for any functions of that organ. Okay, I don't make things complicated. So properties means they are by default. For example, properties of your mobile. You will have 12 megapixel camera. You will have 6 GB RAM. You will have this. So that can be stated as a properties of that device. So similarly, we have certain properties to the muscles, and all those properties has been concised to only 4. So we have totally 4 important properties of muscles. The first one is excitability. What is the meaning of this excitability? Believe it or not, students, when we are discussing about muscles, I will tell in my definition about muscle. Muscle is just a modified neuron. Muscle is just a modified nerve cell. You know why I will tell like this? Because unless and until a muscle getting information, action potential from the neuron, muscle won't get excited. Only after getting signal input from the nerve cell, only the muscle will start moving. And also the movement of this muscle happens because of action potential in between the muscles. Okay, if you see the microscopic structure of muscle, you will have actin and myosin filaments. Literally you will have 2 types of proteins, one actin filament and one myosin filament. So whenever there is electricity, these actin and myosin filaments will contract like this. So when they contracted, the overall muscle will move. So this contraction happens, actually this contraction at actin and myosin level, this contraction is elicited or it is activated by a action potential from a nearby neuron. With the help of one neuron, the muscle will get activated. So muscles will always have the property of activating by a electric signal. electric signal, in a sense, action potential, which is elicited by the nearby neuron. So that is the first property of muscle. Muscle will get activated by neurons, and that activation is called as excitability. Excitability means activation of muscle by a neural signal, an action potential signal. That is why we have the junction between a neuron and a muscle. So a muscle will get in touch with a neuron, and that junction is called as neuromuscular junction. And that is very important. That is one important topic for you in the next unit. So neuromuscular junction, that neuromuscular junction is the place where an electric signal will be passed to the muscle. Then the muscle will get activated. And this property of activation of muscle by a action potential by the neuron is called as excitability. Excitability means activation of muscle by a neuron. Is this definition clear for everyone? Excitability means it is an activation of muscle by a neuron. Okay. Are you following me, students?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why dull? I think just now everyone woke up. Okay. Second one is extensibility. What is the meaning of this extensibility? Extensibility means, students, muscles will extend. They have that elastic property. Okay, there is a difference between elasticity and extensibility. How can I say extensibility? Okay. Extensibility means muscle can extend to the empty spaces of our body. Okay, let me give you one classical example here. So this is my hand, and see, I don't know whether complete hand is coming or not. Okay, so when I'm turning my hand here, my bottom, this is not moving. So my left hand is not moving, but my wrist is continuously moving. So bottom is not moving, but top one is moving. That means the muscles in between the radius and ulna, those muscles are getting adjusted in between the spaces of the bones. And this property of muscle adjustments is called as extensibility. Muscle can extend itself into the spaces for a better movement. It won't get jammed. It won't get stuck in between the structures. Muscles have the property of adjusting itself, extending itself to adjust for a smooth motion. For a smooth motion, muscles can extend themselves in a better way. And that property of muscle is called as extensibility. Okay, extensibility means muscles have the tendency of extension. Extension can be done. Okay. Then after extending the muscles also have the property of contracting. So I can remove my hand like this, and I can also hold my fist. So when I'm holding my fist, the muscles are contracted. When it is like this, it is relaxed. So or I can also say extended, contracted. So these are the another two important properties of muscles: extensibility and contractility. And last and final is elasticity. Muscles can also be stretched beyond their capability. If the muscle is only 2 centimeters length, but we can still stretch the muscle to until 3 to 3.5 centimeters. Muscles have the property of elasticity. So that is also a property of muscle. So elasticity property also there for the muscles. So these are the four important properties of muscles. So we have excitability, extensibility, contractility, and the elasticity. So all this is happens because of presence of these myofibers. So myofibers will have that actin and myosin filaments, and those filaments will contract upon getting electrical signal from the neurons. And then the muscle will perform these four properties, these four functions. So muscles will excited, muscles will extend, muscles can contract, and also muscles can show the elasticity. So these are the major properties of the muscles. Then coming to the types of muscles. So here we have three types of muscles, students. So we have skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and the cardiac muscle. So sorry. So I need some water actually. Leave it. So skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. So skeletal muscle, obviously it will present in association with the skeletal or the bones of the body, whereas the smooth muscle will present in the internal organs, visceral organs of our body, such as intestine, blood vessels, etc. And the cardiac muscle is present in the heart of the heart. Okay, now let us discuss in detail about the three types of muscles. And also, students, keep in mind, I'm not going to discuss about the structure of muscle. That we can discuss in the third unit. I think we have a dedicated unit for neuromuscular anatomy. where we will discuss about the structure of muscle in detail. So since in the unit 1 it is only about the tissues, I'm not going to discuss about the structure of muscle. Rather than I'm just bypassing this structure. So structure of muscle you need not to memorize. Anyway, I will give you just some basic idea about the structure of muscle. So this is a tendon, students. So this is the place where it is in touch with a bone. Then this tendon, it will have an outer layer. That outer layer is called as deep fascia. Then it will have an interlayer, which is inner layer, which is called as epimysium. Inside this epimysium, you will have the perimysium. So this is perimysium. In this perimysium, you will see fibrils. This particular loci is a single unit is called as myofibril or okay. So this one structure can be stated as a fascicle. In this fascicle, these fascicle will have the myofibrils. It will have the myofibrils in the each muscle fiber. Sorry. So it will have muscle fiber. In the muscle fiber, you will have the myofibril. So this is a single myofibril. In this myofibril only, you will have the actin and myosin filaments. It is at this level where the muscle will contract at the microscopic level. Because of this contraction of this myofibril only, the entire muscle will move. So each and every tiny myofibril will contract at the same time for a greater movement. Really, the mechanism of working of muscle is really interesting. If we see at a microscopic level, a very breathtaking complexity is happening, and all this happens within a fraction of seconds. When we think to move the hand, we will move the hand, but there are many things, many muscle myofibrils are activated in our muscles to make this movement. Something really interesting about the movement of muscles. Anyway, we are not going to discuss about the muscular physiology. So we are just discussing about the tissues of muscle tissues. So let us move directly to the topic of muscular tissue. So I'm just removing the in details about the muscle. So I'm just going to the types of muscles. So in this we have, as I said, we have three types of muscles. We have skeletal muscle, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscle. So histologically speaking, that means morphologically speaking. By the way, students, I forgot to tell one important word. The study of tissues is called as histology. So here we are studying the tissues. We are studying tissues such as epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, muscular tissue, or neurous tissue. So study of body tissues is called as histology. Study of tissue is called as histology. I forgot to tell this word. Okay. So study of tissues is called as histology. Now, if you see the structures, if you see the morphology or the structure of these muscles, we have three types of muscles. This is the skeletal muscle, we have smooth muscles, and we have cardiac muscle. So now let us differentiate these three muscles. What are the characteristic features for each muscle? How do we can differentiate these three muscles is my next topic. So how to differentiate skeletal muscle from smooth muscle from cardiac muscle? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me enable live captions. Let me download attendance. Okay. So coming to the difference between the three muscles. So first and foremost is the major feature. So the major feature of three muscles is the skeletal muscle is long cylindrical with many peripheral nuclei. So it is very long. So the skeletal muscle is very long and it will be cylindrical in shape, perfectly rod shaped. Okay. And also this skeletal muscle will have many nucleuses. So nucleus will be many in the skeletal muscle. And what type of nucleus is that? Nuclei will be present at the periphery of the muscle. Rather than presenting nucleus at the center of the muscle, in skeletal muscle, the nucleus will present at the periphery. That means at the corners, at the extreme corners of the muscle, you will see peripheral nucleus. So this is the major feature to identify the skeletal muscle. Not only this this one, skeletal muscle also have something called intercalated discs. So presence of this intercalated discs is something a really unique feature for cardiac muscle. So, oh, sorry. I'm really sorry. I just confused with cardiac muscle. Intercalated disc present to the cardiac muscle. Sorry. So yes, skeletal muscle will be cylindrical in shape and they will have the peripheral nuclei. Whereas the smooth muscle won't have any striations. Okay, I need to tell the word striations. Striations means stripes, students. You will see vertical lines on the muscles. Those striations are absent in smooth muscles. So striations are absent in smooth muscles, whereas striations present in both skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. So coming to the cardiac muscle, the most prominent feature for cardiac muscle are two important features. One is cardiac muscle is branched muscle. You will see inter branches in between the muscles of the cardiac muscle. So the cardiac muscle will have the branches. So it is branched, and also cardiac muscle will have, along with the striations, it will have intercalated discs. So presence of this intercalated discs is a unique feature for cardiac muscle. So presence of branches and presence of intercalated disc is a unique identifying feature for cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle will have intercalated discs and it will have branched, whereas the skeletal muscle is cylindrical in shape and the nuclei is present at the periphery of the muscle. Then both the skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle will have striations, but striations are absent in the smooth muscle. Okay, then coming to the contraction, how the skeletal muscle will contract. So skeletal muscle will contract by voluntarily. Only when we think to move the muscle, then only we will move the muscle. So such movement is called as voluntary movement. So voluntary contraction happens in skeletal muscle, whereas smooth muscle will move by automatically. Smooth muscle will move involuntarily. So smooth muscle will move involuntarily. Okay. Whether we need not to think that whether we are digesting the food or not. Automatically our food will be digested. Automatically the food particles will be moved along the intestine. We need not to think about the movement of food particles. It will done involuntarily without our awareness. So smooth muscles will move involuntarily. Then even cardiac muscle also, you need not to think whether your heart is working or not. You need not to pump your heart. It will pump by itself, right? So both smooth muscles and cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles. That means they will move by themselves, whereas skeletal muscle is a voluntary muscle. So this is all about the contraction. Then coming to the nuclear index, IP, neural input and output. Okay, neural input. Okay, so coming to the neural input, how I can discuss with you. Okay, students. So in our body, we have two types of nerves, students. One is automatic nervous system and second one is somatic nervous system or peripheral nervous system. So automatic nervous means we cannot stop that nerve activity. For example, your eyes will always work. Eyes are the neurons. There is a nerve in the eye called optic neuron. Optic neuron will always work. Its business is to capture the light and to send the data to the brain. So it will automatically keep on working, right? That optic nerve. But the nerves present in my hand, only when I'm thinking to move my hand, then only those muscles will work. Such voluntary neurons are called as somatic neurons, and involuntary neurons are called as automatic neurons. So here what I said is neural input. So skeletal muscles will get neural input from the somatic nerves, whereas the smooth muscles and cardiac muscles will get neural input from automatic nervous system. So automatic neurons will give stimulation to the smooth muscles and cardiac muscles, whereas the skeletal muscle will get stimulation from the somatic neurons. Okay, so this is all about the neural input. Then coming to the shape, skeletal muscle is cylindrical in shape, whereas smooth muscle is spindle in shape, and cardiac muscle is again cylindrical in shape. So both skeletal and cardiac are cylindrical in shape, whereas smooth muscle is spindle in shape. Okay. Contraction. So contraction of three types of muscles. Now listen, students. Since there is no striations, since there is no proper rigid structure to the smooth muscles, the contraction of the smooth muscle will be very slow. So smooth muscles contraction will be very slow compared to the skeletal muscle and the cardiac muscle. So the speed of contraction will be very rapid in skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle, but the speed of contraction will be comparatively slow in smooth muscles. Then coming to the nucleus, the position of nucleus. a multinuclear nucleus will present in the skeletal muscle, whereas single nucleus present in the smooth muscles, whereas central intercalated nucleus is present in the cardiac muscle. So central nucleus present in the cardiac muscle. Coming to the striations we already discussed. Skeletal muscle is striated and the cardiac muscle is striated, but the smooth muscle is non-striated muscle. Then you can leave 9th and 10th. Okay, 9th point is location. So coming to the location, skeletal muscle present in the limbs, tongue, pharynx, and beginning of esophagus, whereas smooth muscles will present in the blood vessels, iris of eye, dermis of the skin, erector pili of the muscle of hair, urinary bladder, urinogenital tract. All these areas will have the smooth muscle. So simply intestine, urinary bladder will have the intestine, urinary bladder, and blood vessels have the smooth muscles. Then coming to the cardiac muscle, I need not to say the position. So cardiac muscle will present obviously in the heart. Okay. Then coming to all others are general points like myofibrils present to everything. This is enough, students. So 9 points. First 9 points are important for differences between these three muscles. Is that clear? So we have skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. I know that the topic is a little bit boring, but these are basic facts. This is how we will learn these subject, students. Okay, maybe next unit will be interesting. So kindly be patient. I know you are bored. Anyway, coming to the point. So that's it. So this is the major differences between the skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Now I will ask some questions. Just tell me. So which muscle is involuntary muscle? What muscle is involuntary muscle?
Cardiac muscle.
The smooth muscles.
Smooth muscles and cardiac muscles
Cardiac
are involuntary muscles. Very good. And somatic neural input is given to what type of muscles? Somatic neural input.
Skeletal.
Very good. Intercalated discs present in? Intercalated discs present in?
Smooth muscle.
Intercalated disc present in smooth muscle. Are you sure? Intercalated discs. Heart muscle. Okay, the cardiac muscle will have the intercalated disc, and branched muscle is seen in which muscle? Branched muscles are seen in what?
Skeletal muscles.
Yes. Cardiac
The
muscle
cardiac.
is branched, not skeletal. Okay, skeletal is not branched. Okay. Then peripheral nucleus is present in?
Skeletal muscle.
Very good. Skeletal muscle. Yeah. Then striations are absent in?
Smooth muscle.
Smooth muscle. And what muscle will be very slow in action, in contraction? Which muscle is slow in contraction?
Smooth muscle.
Smooth muscle. Very good. Then in the limbs, what type of muscle we will see in the limbs of our body? In the hands of skeletal muscle.
Skeletal muscle.
Very good. In the blood vessels? In the blood vessels, what type of muscles?
Smooth muscle.
Smooth muscle.
Smooth muscle.
Very good. Then you know the pupil of the eye, that black dot in the eye, that will contract. The diameter of that pupil will contract and it will dilate in order to adjust the lighting. So if you have more lighting, the pupil will be small. If you have less lighting, then the pupil will be dilate. It will become big. And that movement is facilitated by a muscle. What type of muscle is it? Is it
Smooth muscle.
smooth muscles? Very good. So the pupillary muscles are smooth muscles. Then okay, involuntary muscle. Example for involuntary muscle.
Muscles of hand.
Involuntary muscle
Pumping of heart.
examples. Huh? What is the meaning of voluntary and involuntary? Yes, involuntary is
The involuntary
which will move by themselves.
So
without
which are not out control.
yes, heart muscle and the smooth muscle. వచ్చింది. నేను ఒక అరగంటలో వెళ్తా క్లాస్లో ఇప్పుడు 10:30 వరకు.
Skeletal muscles are example of involuntary muscle. Skeletal muscle.
సరే. So very good, students. I think you got some idea about the muscular tissue. So we can move forward to the next tissue, which is the nervous tissue. So just a second. I think I got a small. Okay. So meanwhile, you just go through the nervous tissue. So kindly let me know. Can you see the PowerPoint now? Can you see the PowerPoint now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, so just stare at this nervous tissue classification. I will come back, okay, within 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
So, okay, students. So the next one. So that's it. So we finished muscular tissue. So I'm moving forward to the next topic, which is the nervous tissue, students. Nervous tissue. Hello. Okay. Actually, I'm getting some calls, so that's why I was interrupted. Anyway, so coming to the nervous tissue, students. So just tell me what is the functions of neurons in our body. So give me some idea about neurons to me. What is the major functions of neurons? What are the functions
signal.
to send signals? Very good. We have many functions. Give me now.
Sending the message of brain.
Sending the message to the brain. So sending message to the brain is one function, and receiving signal from the brain is second function. So two and input and output function. Sending signal to the brain and getting signal from the brain is one function. Any other functions of neurons? Or nervous system as a whole?
Sir, it transmit electrical signals to all the part.
Okay, nervous will neurons will transmit the electrical signal. Fine. Other functions for consciousness, for memory, for consciousness we need the nervous system. Then for survival we need a nervous system. So whatever we are doing the day-to-day basis, it will give us, or simply that term is enough, the consciousness. So nervous system will give the consciousness to the organism. So whatever we are doing, we are aware of what we are doing, and that awareness is given by the nervous system. And if I go depth, there are many functions of nervous system, students, central nervous system. So basically the nervous system was broadly divided into two areas. One is the central nervous system and second one is the peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system means, I will tell like this, you know the computer, right? So the CPU is the area where the actual mathematical processing happens. So CPU is the central processing unit. All information, all things will happen to the CPU, in the CPU. So here the brain and the spinal cord is the central nervous system of our body. So the brain and spinal cord. Then to this CPU in the computer, we will have the peripheral attachments. We will have the monitor, we will have the keyboard, we will have the mouse, and we can keep plenty of peripheral attachments. And those all peripheral attachments and the wires to these peripheral devices, those wires can be stated as a peripheral nervous system. So we have two types of nervous system in our body. One is central nervous system, which is brain and the spinal cord, and all other nerves are the peripheral nerves. So Now I'm coming to the point. So let us see why I'm telling about these parts of the nervous system, because in the central nervous system we will have the brain and spinal cord, whereas in the peripheral nervous system we will see the peripheral neurons. The nerves will be seen. And also in the central nervous system, in the brain, we will see a different type of cells called glial cells. So presence of glial cells is something unique feature for central nervous system, and this glial cells will act as a binding cells to bind any nearby neurons. That I will discuss. So first let us see the introduction to the nervous tissue. So the time is 10:12. Okay. So nervous tissue is the primary tissue that composes the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So neurons are the basic unit of nervous system. So all nervous system is made up of neural tissue or neurons, whereas they are responsible for sensing, stimulating, and transmitting signals to and from different parts of the organisms. So they are responsible for the sensing, stimulation, and transmitting signals to and from different parts of the organisms. So the major function of nervous system includes sensory input. So first the nervous system will take a sensory input, such as if you pinch me. So first I took the sensation, then I will interrogation. Interrogation means I will this information will be given to the nearby muscle, and that muscle will move or simply that is called as reflex pathway, that I will discuss later. Anyway, leave it. This box you can leave it. Okay. Okay, so coming to the classification of nervous tissue, students. So classification of nervous tissue. So coming to the classification, we have two types of nervous tissue. Listen to me carefully. Are you following me, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, classification of nervous tissue. Listen to me very, very carefully. So here we have two types of nervous cells, nervous cells. We already know that nerve cell must transmit electrical signal. If it is not transmitting electrical signal, then how we can say it as a nervous tissue? Even though it is not transmitting, the electric signals, but still these cells will play a vital role in supporting the electric signal processing cells, the nerve cells. So that is why nerve cells are broadly divided into two types: electric conducting nerve cells and non-electric conducting nerve cells. And non-electric current conducting nerve cells are called as binding cells. They are also called as binding cells or glial cells. Glia means glue. So we have glial cells and nerve conduction cells, are the electrical conducting nerve cells. So we have electric conducting nerve cells and non-electric conducting nerve cells. Non-electric conducting nerve cells are called as glial cells or binding cells. Now here in the nerve cells, they are of two types. We have myelinated nerve cells and we have non-myelinated nerve cells. So what is the difference between this myelinated and non-myelinated? For this, I will give you a very nice example. Nerve cells will send the electric signal that you already know. Now, imagine this is a wire. So here you can see a wire, and this wire has a plastic coating. So what is the purpose of this plastic coating? So this plastic material will act as an insulator. So the internal electrical signal won't get affected by this plastic coating. Imagine if this wire don't have plastic coating, and we have two wires. We have two wires and there is no plastic coating. Then what will happen if they touch? There will be short circuit. If any two naked wires touch each other, means there will be short circuit. Will you agree with me or not?
Yes, sir.
Your
Yes, sir.
electric pole wires. If any two electric pole wires touch, means there will be short circuit. If a naked wire got the short circuit, means the same phenomenon must happen for our neurons also. If our neurons are naked like this without a plastic covering, then there will be short circuit of neurons in our brain. To prevent that short circuit, our neurons are coated by a insulating material. And that insulating material is called as myelin. Myelin is a layer of fat which is present on the outer membrane of the neural cell. And such neural cells are called as myelinated neural cells. Myelinated neural cells, or the nerve cell that has myelin sheet, is called as myelinated neural cell. And the muscle cells that does not have myelin sheath is called as non-myelinated neural cells. So yeah, so here we have two types of neural cells. We have myelinated neural cells and we have non-myelinated neural cells. Coming to the myelinated neural cells, these myelinated neural cells are divided depending upon their three properties, depending upon their poles, depending upon their function, and depending upon their based upon the axon. In order to understand this, first we must know the basic structure of a neuron. Unless and until knowing the structure of neuron, you can't understand this classification. So now I will discuss you briefly about the structure of neuron. So now this is the typical structure of a neuron. So a neuron will have a head, it will have a body. Okay, this is head and body. It will have a neck, and it will have a lengthy structure called axon. It will have an axon. At the end of the axon, it will have terminal budding. Okay, this is a terminal portion of the axon. Then in the head of the axon, the head is also called as soma. The neuron head is also called as soma. In this head, you will see the nucleus, and to this head you will see many finger-like projections like this, and those finger-like projections are called as dendrites. These finger-like projections are called as dendrites. Okay, so this is the basic structure of a neuron. Neuron will have a soma, that means head. It will have a neck, and it will have an axon. Okay, in this soma, in the head, it has the nucleus and it has the dendrites. So this head will have the dendrites. Okay, now in the neuron, in the cytoplasm of the soma, that means the neuron head or the body of neuron, will have a special granules called Nissl bodies. So presence of Nissl bodies is a unique feature for nerve cells. So this is just a characteristic point, you just remember. Okay, so here we have a soma. In the soma, that means body. In the body or the head, it has a nucleus, it has a Nissl granules, and it has dendrites. Then it has a axon, it has a neck. Then after this neck, it has a axon. Now this axon, it will act like a wire. Now this is in this axon only the electric signal will process. The electric conduction happens in this axon. Now this axon must be protected by a myelin sheet. It should be protected by a plastic material, and that plastic material is called as myelin sheet. This axon is covered by a thin layer of covering called myelin sheet. Then who is synthesizing this myelin sheet? Who is responsible for giving myelin sheet to the axon? Who is synthesizing this myelin sheet? This myelin sheet is synthesized by a specialized cell called as Schwann cell. It is the Schwann cell which will synthesize this myelin sheet. Only because of this presence of Schwann cell only this myelin sheet is synthesized. So what exactly the Schwann cell do is, the Schwann cell will wrap around the axon. When it is wrapping, it will add a layer of myelin sheet around the axon. Now there is another interesting thing about this myelin sheet. This myelin sheet is interspaced actually. The myelin sheet is not continuous single layer of sheet, rather than it will have a internodes, and that nodes are called as nodes of Ranvier. And there is a significance of having these nodes to the myelin sheet. I hope you know the concept of AC and DC in electricity. Do you know what is direct current and alternating current? Which current is good, direct current or alternating current? Do you have some idea?
So alternating current is good.
Very good. Alternating current is highly efficient. It is more efficiency than direct current. Direct current, you will have more heat discharge. Actually, battery power. So direct means battery, whereas AC means electric current, alternating current. So if you see the movement of AC current, the electric current will go up and down like this. There will be crest and throat of the AC current, whereas the direct current will be straight line. So my idea is, what I'm trying to tell is, if you want to transmit data fastly, better you should transmit in a AC current point of view, but not in a DC point of view. You should send the signal in a up and down manner. In order to facilitate that alternating effect of electric pathway, we have these gaps in between the myelin sheet. These gaps will terminate. It will act as a junction between the movement of the electricity. So the electric current, the mode of transmission of electric current will be in AC fashion, in an alternating current fashion. So in such way, the electricity can move fastly at a short period of time because of presence of these nodes of Ranvier. So that is why the nodes of Ranvier will present in the neuron. So I know that I'm giving you much excessive information, but you just know why we have nodes in between the myelin sheet. So the nodes are responsible for the better transmission of electric potentials in between the neurons. So this is the basic structure of the neuron. So neuron will have the soma or the cell body. It will have dendrites. It will have the nucleus. It will have nuclear granules. It has the neck and it has the axon. Axon is surrounded by a myelin sheet. That myelin sheet is synthesized by the Schwann cell, which is present inside the myelin sheet. Then in between the myelin sheet, there is nodes, and those nodes are called as nodes of Ranvier. And at the terminal portion, it will have the terminal buttons will present to the neuron. Is the structure of neuron clear for everyone? Shall I move forward?
Yes,
I think students, yeah. So for today's class, you just remember the structure of neuron. In tomorrow's class, I will discuss about the classification of neurons. Okay. So depending upon the pose, functions, and axon length, the neurons has been classified, which is not much a big deal. So in the tomorrow's lecture, we can see, because we have only 5 more minutes and I cannot finish this topic in today's session. So tomorrow we can finish nervous tissue and we can move to the mitosis and meiosis. Most probably we will finish the first unit syllabus. Okay. So I'm just taking a quick revision of today's lecture. So in today's lecture, we discussed in detail about the muscular tissue. So we know first we discussed about the properties of muscular tissue. We have 4 important properties of muscular tissue. The 4 properties include excitability, extensibility, contractility, and elasticity. Then we have 3 types of muscle tissues. We have skeletal muscular tissue, smooth muscular tissue, and cardiac muscular tissue. So the major the differences between these 3 muscles include, the major feature of skeletal muscle is it is cylindrical and it will have peripheral nerves, whereas smooth muscle is spindle in shape and cardiac muscle is branched. Then coming to the contraction, skeletal muscle is voluntary, whereas smooth and cardiac are involuntary in nature. Then neural input, skeletal muscle will get from somatic neurons, whereas the smooth and cardiac will get from automatic neurons. Shape, skeletal and cardiac are cylindrical in shape, whereas the smooth muscle is spindle in shape. Contraction of skeletal and cardiac is very rapid, but for smooth muscles, the contraction is slow. Then a nucleus, multinucleus present in the skeletal, uninucleus present in the smooth, and central intercalated nucleus present in the heart. Location, skeletal muscle present in tongue, limbs, pharynx, and starting for and the beginning of the esophagus. My goodness. That's it, students. So these are the locations. The smooth muscles will have in the blood vessels and iris of eye, whereas the cardiac muscle will present in the cardiac or the heart. These are the major differences between these 3 muscles. Then we discussed about the nervous tissue. So basically, the nervous tissue, we have 2 types of nerves: conducting nerves and the non-conducting nerves. So non-conducting nerves are called as binding cells or glial cells, whereas conducting nerve cells are of 2 types: myelinated nerve cells and the non-myelinated nerve cells. Then we discussed about the structure of the nerve. So nerve will have the soma, that means the body will have nucleus and dendrites, and it will have nuclear granules, and it has a neck, and the neck will extend as an axon. This axon will have a layer of myelin sheet which is synthesized by the Schwann cell, and in between the myelin sheet there are nodes called as nodes of Ranvier for the better conduction of the electricity among the neurons. At the end of the neuron, it will have the terminal buttons. So this is all about the structure of neuron. In the next class, we will discuss in detail about the nervous tissue. So thank you very much, students. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. I hope there is no doubts for you. Can I end this session?
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much
Yes,
for
sir.
your patience.
Thank
Okay,
you,
see
sir.
you. Yeah, see you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I will upload this video. You can check it. Okay. See you.